Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So we are almost to the holidays and I hope you guys will get some time to relax and enjoy the upcoming holiday season. And at the same time, I've been asked a lot recently about how do I start it in UX, especially without much project experience. Where do I start to build my portfolio? So today I wanted to share with you guys a case study that I did a couple of years ago. It is something that you can totally do it on your own, just to pick a mobile app or a website, something that you are familiar with, where you feel interested on, that you use often, and can basically do a case study based on the critiques and redesign. So this is what I did. I did my case study based on a product called Houzz, because I have always been interested on home decoration, interior design. So Houzz is basically a online shopping platform where you can look for inspirations or shop for furnitures, home decoration stuff, and also find a pro for helping you on home projects. So this is an app that I use a lot. So I did a case study based on the current design back then. This is by no means reflecting the latest design of the Houzz mobile app, because this case study was done actually a few years ago. So, but the point of this video is I wanted to walk you through how this case study was created. If you have been having a hard time to find a project or to find a real project to work on, and you want to build up your UX skills and experience, highly recommended. This could be your very first case study, and you can do something like this and put it on your portfolio. Okay, so before I jump in, just a reminder, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. You'll be 3 to 1. Again, I share everything about UX, from interviewing tips, app critiques, portfolio review, design exercise challenge on my channel. If you're enjoying the videos you're watching or interested on UX as a general topic, please subscribe to my channel, like my video, leave me a comment, and there will be more exciting sessions coming up. So I will share my screen as we walk through, and the link of this website, I will post it in the video description so you guys can take a look after or anytime as you want. Awesome. So the screen we're looking at is basically the webpage of my portfolio. This focus on this case study called Houzz. So first of all, for a case study, I always recommend to start with, actually for any design project you put on your portfolio, my recommendation is to have a clear statement of the problem. Basically, what's the challenge or what the problem you're solving here. So in this case, my case study was focused on discovering the pain points of the current app and propose design solutions to improve the user experience. And also I put the deliverables here. So basically it includes from strategy, research, to persona, task flows, sketches, UI, and the final prototype. And my role was basically the product designer. So yeah, this structure, you can feel free to tweak it, but always highly recommended to have a clear problem statement, your role, and what are the deliverables for any case study you put on the portfolio. So I have a hero image. This is something I think, something visual appealing is always helpful to raise the interest and keep your audience continue to read through your case study. So first of all, I started with a quick intro about what is Houzz. So in this case, Houzz is an online platform for home remodeling and design services. And again, back to that, to really clarify, following this subject line, I laid out basically what is the challenge I focused on. I'm sure there are many other pain points or challenge a company or product like Houzz are facing, but in this case study, you want to really be clear on what you are focusing on. And I talked a little bit about the process. I used a simple diagram here to illustrate, okay, what was my process? Basically from the initial user research to how I actually synthesize my findings and narrow down to the problems that I decided to focus on. Then followed by ideate, prototype, and validate. Again, this part is totally up to you, but this is how I typically do it, just to walk through the process as a quick overview. Then I jumped right into research. So because this is actually self-paced case study, I did guerrilla usability testing as my research. So in this paragraph, I explained how I did the research So I did user interviews and what are the key questions, what are the tasks that I gave to my interviewees. And from there, I put into like the synthesis. So basically, based on the interviews I did with the 7 users, what I found out. So there's a photograph of basically the post-it with the notes I took. I basically laid it out in affinity map with one axis is what's the most important for users, and the other the x-axis focus on important for users, and the y-axis focus on important for business. There are different types of affinity maps you can adapt to, but yeah, this is basically the step. I talked about how I synthesized my findings from the interviews, the initial research, to help me understand what I should focus on as the next step. So following that, I have a quick summary. Okay, those are the 5 problems I decided to focus on. I think one thing is super important as you put together your portfolio is you always want to have an intention, a goal while you're showing something. So for example, here I was showing this affinity map, and it's really important, I think, to give some context on, okay, why I'm showing that. And the reason is based on that findings. This process helped me understand, okay, those are the 5 problems I decided to focus on, from difficult to find inspiration photos to see more products, and list your key findings and how that guide you through to the next steps. So following that, I have a typical session of how persona to basically, help this by working on persona, this really help communicate information about users that I've collected during the research. I created a provisional persona to help me understand my target users. And following that, I got into ideate, and a couple of key elements you can include in ideate, this part of this phase of the process, from task flow, information architecture, or low fidelity wireframes. And what I have here, I think the most important thing is this actually the task flow. So I created this task flow based on a scenario. Basically, a user wants to decorate a room, and another one is user want to find a pro. So to really help me understand in the process, what are the pain points and what are the steps the users are having trouble, I highlighted the areas in this flowchart, the task flow, from open the app to search to look for inspirations, after laid out the step-by-step user flow. I think it's extremely important for you to use whichever visual ways you want to do, either call out or annotations, to emphasize, okay, what are the problems area that you decided to focus on? And in this case, you can see that I highlighted those key areas with the little call out and number with a bit more explanations. For example, here, when looking for home professionals, I learned that 5 out of 7 users clicked on the 5 pros on home screen, expecting it will show up a list of companies, but got directed to a survey asking for project details. So this is one of the key findings I learned of the frictions that users are having. So highlight that in the task flow and then connect to, okay, next step, how you actually solve that problem. Okay, then basically the next part is I basically shared some low fidelity sketches. And this area is, I think, totally up to you. I did some quick hand sketches, how I explored the idea of the dashboard. And I have, I think, included 2 sketches over here, just to, this is kind of how I explored the idea, how this, in terms of seeking the solution, you don't want to jump right into the high fidelity prototype because, as a designer, I think it is really important to show your thinking process, how you approach the problem, rather than jumping right into solutions. Okay, now it's the highlight, I think, which is probably one of the most important part of this portfolio, is the high fidelity prototype. And because of the nature of this case study, I was doing based on an existing product I use a lot, and to analyze what are the problems, what are the frictions, and how to solve it. So I decided to show it side by side. Basically on the left is the existing, I have a label here before, and on the right is the after. So in this way, I think it really shows, it was really clear, I think, in some sense, to show okay, why I made certain changes So basically, I think in this format, it was really clear to show the side-by-side comparison. What was the app look like today or back then, and what change that I made and why I made those changes. One of the example is, for example, Idea Book. And this is one of the top icons when you first open the app. It's on the top left with this like little photo with the little heart icon. And one problem I learned is users were really confused about what idea books mean. And there are different expectations, what will take the users to when clicking on this. So after learning like the actual step-by-step experience, I decided to rename idea books to my idea books, because what this icon does is actually take the user to a set of collections. If you added, you liked or favorite something, this is gonna be the pictures or a collection of the items you have liked. So to really clearly communicate that, I made a small design change to renaming idea books to my idea books. It sounds little tweak, but it actually really helped clarify the function. It's really for users to see the ideas or photos stay saved on their own. So this section, I did a lot of call out on the key elements that I changed and why I made certain changes. So I selected a couple of examples, which I think are probably the most important, from the dashboard to how to find a pro. And another example is basically how the filter system worked. And this is the last example, is showing basically when you are trying to contact or actually reach a pro, how that process was working and how I changed it. Yeah, and at the end, I have an animated prototype here, which shows one example of the proposed flow when user looking for home pros, how that journey works of the new design. Yeah, and this is a video. You can also do like a GIF. I did video because I think it's something you can actually pause or fast forward, where you leave the audience a little bit more control. But I've seen either way. I think either GIF or video works. But I think it's important to show that prototype which is one of the key skills as a UX designer. And then I have like a clickable prototype of the new design, where you can actually click and interact with this prototype and see the new design, how it works. So at the very end, the last part I show is the validate. So this part, I did a side-by-side comparison because, this is a self-paced study. There's, I would wish like to have some type of data, for example, this increased user engagement by 30%, or, but in this case, it's a self-paced case study. How do you show impact or show, the result? And this is like one of the common struggles, I think, from like the UX coffee chats I have with many aspiring UX designers, is how do you show the result if it is, something like a self-paced case study. And one suggestion is, you can probably do something like this. I did user research before and after. At the beginning, 1 out of 7 users were not able to find inspiration photos quickly. They were having a hard time to find those inspiring photos, the gallery. And 2 out of the 7 switch between different product pictures. 2 out of the 7 users don't know how to switch between different product pictures. And you can do something like this and do a validation test after the case study, and to validate, like in this case, after the redesign, 7 out of 7 users were able to find inspiration photos quickly. So this is one way to compare, I think, the before and after, or the impact or the result of your redesign, is to really like understand how users' reaction to the existing product or the before versus the after. So last I have like conclusion, not last, this is like the end of the project, kind of. So I have a conclusion to really like summarize like this project, what my takeaway basically, and the results are basically for searching for inspirations. All of the users were able to find it on home screen within 5 seconds. And for shopping, in terms of the shopping experience, 7 out of 7 users were able to switch between pictures with no problem. 6 out of 7 were able to find it quickly when they are looking for pros. So, at the end, I think it's always helpful to have a conclusion or summary of what's the result of your redesign. Although it is a self-paced case study, it is still a design project. And so you want to, like, I think, have this concrete number or result to show, like, what is the outcome of the redesign. So the last part, I think, is also quite important, is actually to show a little bit about your afterthoughts. Like, for example, in this case, like, this UX case study has been, like, to me, was really challenging and rewarding experience. And I talked a little bit about, okay, what was my biggest challenge? Like, for example, to me, get out of there and talking to strangers for doing the guerrilla usability testing, which ended up turning into a really amazing experience for me to learn about user insights, getting those first-hand insights. And although it has a very short time frame, I was really glad to learn, even by making those small changes, we're able to yield big impacts. And that was a highlight to my, like, afterthoughts, because, like, some of the design change that I made, like what we see here, like the side-by-side comparison, it's not huge change. Like, we're not talking about redesign, tear down this current app and make a completely new product, but based on the existing experience, what are some, like, small changes or tweaks that can really optimize the current user experience? So, and that's also, like, I think one of the common questions you might get in the interviews is, if you have more time to work on this, what would you like to work on? So that's also something you can talk about. Also keep in mind, even you don't lay it out, all the details in the portfolio, it's always helpful, I think, to have that mindset. If you had more time, what other problems or what other things you wish to continue working on? When it comes to every digital product, it's always a cycle, right? There's no official end, even if you finish or ship a product, even it is launched, because you can always learn something, and it's never going to be perfect. And the key is to continue, have that open mindset, and to learn based on the user feedback. Okay, what else can you continue improving and continue make it a better experience? So yeah, I think this is basically my case study of this Houzz project. And I hope this is something that's helpful for you guys if you're looking to, create your first UX case study. Okay, so this is, I think, all I have for today. So hopefully by walking through this UX case study I did for the mobile app Houzz, it helped to give some context and how a UX case study can be done. Also, like, for those kind of case studies, you can always post it on Medium. Like, it's always, like, helpful, I think, to share in the US community with, things you've learned and also learn from others. There are a lot of really good examples on Medium you can find, like other case studies done by, like, designers, which is also a great source to learn, how to create those type of self-paced UX case study. So at the end, I want to mention that I think, it's common, and I think it's a definitely common challenge, like when you are trying to start in UX, like, where do I get those project experience? How do I find a job? Because, you're looking to get into UX, and the prerequisite is to have a portfolio built up with, like, at least 3 to 4 projects. And how do I start? I want to mention that, like, absolutely, you can create a UX case study, just like what we looked at here. On the other hand, always highly recommend, I think, to look for any real project opportunities. You can spread the words with your friends, families, or go for, like, check on the website, like, to find, contract or freelancing jobs. Either it's creating a website or helping a startup, like, building like a first version of their app. So there are a lot of opportunities. I think the switching moment to me is really changing that mindset. Because if you see something, like, in your everyday life, like, say you're shopping for sneakers and you see, okay, this website that I always use, well, this step was really confusing, and you can probably change it or improve the experience by just making a little simple change. And why not, like, reaching out to this company or someone working in a, like, product or design team on this company, and let them know, like, hey, you might want to consider making this change, and this might help you, hugely in, like, sales and achieving both, to help the users, customers have a better experience, and at the same time, aiming for, better business outcomes. So I think, the mindset change is really to take things proactively, constantly seeking for those kind of opportunities, and you will be surprised of how much or how many projects, opportunities out there. So yeah, that's all I have for today, and really hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season. And if there's any other topics you would like to hear more from me, please leave me a comment here. And I would love to hear from you guys, like what are some topics you would love to hear. So yeah, and have a wonderful holiday, and I will see you guys in the new year. Bye.